For a long, long time, we've had this pretty standard idea of what retirement looks like. But what if I told you that the entire script for how we age and, how we're going to pay for it all is being completely rewritten right now? We're going to dive into three massive converging forces today: longevity, artificial intelligence, and energy. And believe me, they are changing everything.
Just picture this for a second. Your entire life, you get a bill in the mail every month for your electricity. You're a consumer. You pay it. But now imagine a future where your phone buzzes with a notification and it's a payment coming to you. Not from your job, but from the extra energy your house and your car generated and sold back to the grid. This isn't some far-off sci-fi dream. It's a huge shift in our economic identity that's happening right under our noses.
So here's how we're going to connect the dots in this explainer. First, we'll talk about this new role we're all taking on, the prosumer. Then, we'll see how the fact that we're living longer is changing how we think and act. We'll meet the AI caregivers that are showing up to help us out, and then figure out the key, how a new energy model makes it all affordable. And finally, we'll wrap it all up into one big, powerful investment idea.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this future, we first need to understand that our role in the economy is changing. We're not just passive consumers anymore. We're becoming active participants. And yeah, there's a word for that.
The word is prosumer, and it's not just some trendy piece of jargon. It actually represents a total revolution in how we interact with the big systems we rely on every day. Think about it. For most of modern history, we just bought things that big companies made. But now, especially when it comes to energy, we have the ability to both produce and consume. And that just fundamentally flips the whole economic equation on its head.
Now let's get to the really human part of all this. What's the engine driving this massive shift? Well, it's the simple fact that we are living longer than any other generation in human history. And that's not just a cool statistic, it's an incredibly powerful economic force.
This quote from the Institute of Labor Economics really nails it. When you have a realistic expectation of living to be 90 or 100, or maybe even longer, your whole perspective changes. The future isn't some abstract thing for your grandkids anymore. No, it's a real place where you are going to be. And that changes absolutely everything about how you plan, save, and invest.
So what happens is this really simple but profound chain reaction. First, our life expectancy goes up. Because of that, our personal stake in the future gets way bigger. And that, in turn, makes us invest more in things that have a long-term payoff, like our own personal health and the health of the planet we live on. It's just a natural, powerful incentive to start thinking long-term.
Okay, so if we're all planning on living these super long lives, that brings up a really practical and, frankly, urgent question. This is honestly one of the biggest sources of anxiety for aging populations all over the world. We've got fewer young people to support a growing number of seniors, and the old ways of doing things are starting to crack under the pressure. And this is exactly where technology is stepping in with something called the silver tech revolution. So, meet Hayodol. Now, at first glance, it just looks like a doll, right? But it's actually an AI companion, and it's designed to fight one of the biggest problems for the elderly: loneliness. It can have conversations, give medication reminders, and even call for help in an emergency. It's the friendly face of a whole new wave of technology that's all about providing support and safety.
And this isn't some niche startup idea anymore. The huge tech giants are all in. You've got companies like Samsung and LG pouring tons of money into developing these super sophisticated AI home assistants. Samsung's Bali is this little rolling robot that follows you around, and LG's Q9 is actually designed to build an emotional connection with people. And we're not talking about a small market here. The global care robot industry is projected to absolutely explode, hitting nearly $57 billion by 2030. That's a huge signal that the AI caregiver is moving out of the science lab and right into our living rooms. But there's always a but, isn't there? There's a major roadblock. As our source material points out, the single biggest hurdle for these amazing robots is the cost. I mean, they could cost thousands of dollars. So how can an ordinary person actually afford this kind of essential care? Well, that question leads us to the final piece of the puzzle. This right here is the critical link. It's what connects our longer lives and AI to our actual financial reality. The answer to affording the future of care is all about changing our relationship with energy.
I mean, think about it. If our homes are going to be filled with AI companions and health monitors and all these other smart devices, they're going to need constant, reliable power. The trick isn't just about finding that power, it's about turning it from a monthly expense into a source of income.
The answer lies in technology like vehicle-to-grid, or V2G. It's a game changer. It basically turns your electric car from something that just uses power into a mobile battery. It can store up cheap energy, say from solar panels on your roof, and then sell it back to the grid when prices are high. Your car stops being just a car and starts being a financial asset, a power plant on wheels.
Now, what's so incredible about this is how perfectly it solves the biggest challenges of aging. You get the power you need for your essential devices, like that AI caregiver. You create a brand new income stream for yourself in retirement, and this is so important, you can end energy poverty. No one should have to risk their health in a heat wave because they can't afford to turn on the AC. This is what true independence looks like.
So, let's bring it all home. We've been looking at 3 trends that might seem totally separate, but let's see how they're actually locked together in this powerful, self-reinforcing loop. This table just lays it out perfectly. The desire for a longer life, longevity, creates the huge challenge of caregiving. That's solved by AI. But the need for AI care creates the challenge of cost and power, and that is solved by becoming an energy prosumer. And finally, becoming a prosumer gives us a path to financial independence, which is exactly what we need for a longer, better life. You see, each trend feeds the next one.
At the end of the day, it's that fundamental human drive, the desire to live a longer, healthier, better life, that is the real engine powering these massive shifts in technology and our economy. This isn't just technology for the sake of technology. It's all about solving one of our most basic human challenges: how to live a long, dignified, and independent life.
So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. The old models of just being a passive consumer are fading away. As we all start planning for futures that could be decades longer than anyone ever expected, we really have to ask ourselves, are we investing based on the logic of the past, or are we building our portfolio for the new reality of the next century?